Hello, friends. How's it going? Welcome in. Good to be with you. Let's see. 7 o'clock on a Wednesday is not my usual time going live, to be fair. Usually I'm either going live late at night for TNE After Dark, or we're going live with the Tim and April show, or some other time that's not 7 o'clock. But good to be with you. Thank you for being here. It means so much. Today is a really important day. If you have been around the New Evangelicals at all, whether it's on Instagram, podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, we've had a massive shift in the best way possible. If you have not seen the news yet, we have a new executive director that is taking over what I used to be doing, and I'll be able to focus more on content. And tonight, I'm going to bring her in along with our board president, and we're going to talk and answer your questions and share about the future of the organization, just kind of bring you all into what we're thinking about, the structure of the organization, the vision of the organization, and what that looks like, and how things will be changing for the better. And of course, I'm sure we'll share our story of how we all got here. So please welcome, if you could help me out with that, welcome Rebecca and Melinda. Rebecca is our board president, and Melinda is our new executive director. Hello, friends. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hello.
And you're both in person together, and I'm alone in New Jersey, so thanks for that.
We're on the West Coast.
That's right.
Okay. We'll talk about that another time offline. We don't want to fight in front of the kids, so.
No. Okay.
But for real, it is good to have both of you here. And friends, I can see all of your comments. So if you have questions as we're talking, please feel free to throw them into the chat. We will try and get to as many questions as we can. And again, it's so good to be here. I want to start maybe with you, Melinda. You were a board member first with TNE, and maybe I would kind of like to hear from your vantage point the story of first how you found me at the time. It was just me on Instagram. And then why you decided to join the board.
Well, my journey with TNE actually goes even before the board, if you remember. So people that don't know me, I'm an actress and a singer, and a friend of mine sent me your profile and said, I feel like you would really like a lot of the things that this guy is saying, because it's a lot of the things that we talk about. And I released a song called God and His Gun, and I tagged you in it. And then you asked me to come on your podcast. And then you were looking for Facebook moderators. So I was like, I could do that. And then you asked me to be on the board. I've just been working my way through TNE.
Started from the bottom, now you're at the top.
I started from the bottom, now I'm here. Anyway, so that's really been my journey. But I mean, my friend, his name's Brett. Shout out to you, Brett, if you're watching. He knows me, he knows my heart, he knows what I believe in. And so he was right on the money. I was, watching your Instagram reels and how you were responding to everything that was going on at the moment. I think it was like in 2021 when I tagged you in that. But I just really loved everything that you were talking about, and I resonated with it. And I was like, yeah, I rock with this guy. So.
and then you joined the board, and here we are. And we're going to get into the story of you becoming executive director and why that took place and how it all happened. Rebecca, I would love for you to share with the audience as well kind of your journey, because you and I mean, you started out volunteering, helping me schedule podcasts, and now you're the president of the board, which is it's just so cool.
Wild. I never thought this would be where I am. So I think 2.5 years I did podcast scheduling. So it must have been 2022 probably. You put out a call for you needed help with scheduling and something else. And I was like, I could do scheduling. And so I did that for a long time and got to interact with a lot of really awesome guests that you had on. And then, last fall, you and I started talking about what I do for a living. And you're like, why aren't you on our board? And I was like, I don't know. So here we are.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I'm not sure, especially because right now we're live on YouTube, right? And our YouTube audience is probably, I'm going to assume, maybe the most siloed from the work that we do more broadly speaking, because YouTube is its own thing entirely, right? And so if you're a YouTube subscriber, by the way, thank you for subscribing to the channel. We're structured as a nonprofit, and I started TNE really by accident out of my upstairs attic on Instagram. And it just kind of blew up because, like a lot of us, we were trying to find a better path forward in our faith, given what was happening in our political and cultural moment. And as things expanded, I said, we got to try and make this a little more official. So I talked to some early volunteers and said, what if we became a nonprofit? Not having the slightest idea of what that meant, what it looked like, how you run one, but I just knew we had to try and swing the bat, right? So the stories of meeting Melinda and meeting Rebecca are completely as organic as you can get, just by sheer need initially, right? I mean, Melinda, you and I first did a podcast episode, and I said, hey, we need Facebook moderators. And then Rebecca, I think I'm sure at some point I put a call out on Instagram saying I could use some help with some stuff, and you reached out. And that's probably what I love most about this evolution is that both of you have been with TNE for so long, like you've seen the evolution and the growth, and also where we need to grow. And I think having you in these roles is just so important, given your history with the org and also your skills that far surpass whatever I could do as an executive director, which we need, right? I feel like I've brought the organization up to a point, and I'm proud of the work I've done, but we've talked about this for a long time. I don't like that work. I'm not good at that work. I like doing this. And so having both of you in your positions, I'm just so excited for it.
Well, I wanted to give you credit, Tim, because it does take a lot of humility to be able to realize where you're limited and where you need to stop. And I feel like we had this conversation a good year ago when I said, hey, versus running an organization or being like an influencer thought leader in this space, like what are you more drawn to, right?
Right.
And so because running an organization isn't for everybody, it's there's stuff involved in it that, if you work in the corporate world, it's just not fun. And you are very much a creative visionary. And I feel like I have access to both, but this is going to sound very funny. I'm not as much as the extrovert as you are. Like you're the you love to go to the conferences, and then I love to just be at home doing stuff, despite me being a performer. It's really weird.
I go live for fun, Melinda, right? Like last time, I'm bored. I'm going to go live.
Go watch a movie. Where are you going live? So we're very different. We're very different that way. But I do think it takes a lot of humility to be able to make that decision and know that you want to see what you created grow and that you're willing to put it in the hands of somebody else.
No, for sure. Listen, I really have tried, and you guys know this. You've known me off camera and on camera. I've tried to be as consistent as possible. And the truth is like, on one hand, being a type 6 on the Enneagram, full of fear and self-doubt, I'm really proud of what I've accomplished, for sure. I'm proud to say that. But also, it kind of hit me around like, this thing has gotten so much bigger than me, and that's a beautiful thing. And because of that, I feel like I'd be doing the organization a disservice to feel like I still had to be the person trying to do really 2 full-time jobs, right? Because you can't do both well when you're trying to make content on all these platforms and cover what's happening in our current moment, which is just crazy, and try to grow an organization. It doesn't work. So, Rebecca, I'm kind of curious to hear from you because you were on the board as well, and you recently were voted in as the board president, and we also expanded the board. How do you see that? First off, why don't you explain to the audience what the role of a board is for a nonprofit? Because they're kind of behind the scenes, right? Most people who are watching this might not even know that we even have a board. So can you explain that? And then explain how the newest iteration of the board, how you see it playing a more vital role in the formation of the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. I do see a question that asked about my role. So as board president, that is my role. I lead basically a team of people, all with different skill sets, who can bring in a variety of skills, to repeat myself, to really grow this organization in a way where we have people who are good at financial things. We have people who are good at people topics. We have good people who are good at fundraising, really touching on every area that an organization really needs experts. I come from the corporate world. I work for an international global corporate business. And so I understand what all of those things are. I understand that you need people who are good at leading a group. So that's my role here with the board. I understand we need somebody who's good at PR and marketing and content and all of that. And Tim is, content director. You are the expert at that. Melinda is obviously also very good at that, but she's also incredibly skilled with operations and really streamlining processes. And so I feel like we just have this excellent team. Mm-hmm. And now, having expanded the board, we've brought in some people who are really community-minded, fundraising experts. We have a professor on the board now, people who really care about the organization. And our job on the board is to make sure that we're making good decisions. We are responsible from a fiduciary standpoint. So we have to make sure the money is all accounted for. We know where it's going. Mm-hmm. We don't just hire random people. We understand and spend that money responsibly. But also we have these committees that involve the community at large. And so it's really I guess it's creating some ability for us to include more people when we have a board like what we have now. And that's what I'm the most excited about. It was a small group as a grassroots effort, which most organizations like this would start that way, but now we can really start to include more people. And I think our board is really excited to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very engaged, which is what you need for this type of work. And it's never been, I hate to say this, a better moment to have an organization like this, because it's so needed with specifically our political climate. But as people of faith, being able to lead it that way, we got a lot of work to do.
No, 100%. And yet, it's funny, Rebecca, because I feel like we all know this, but a lot of people, in fact, I saw a comment here, I'm going to pull it up from Betty. She said, "This is so interesting." And it's kind of like a behind the scenes. We're kind of opening up the hood of the car. Like, look, here's how the engine works in the car that you drive. Because I forget that most people probably see me whenever we go live or post a video or something like that, but they don't really think about or know that we have an organizational side of this that is really evolving fast, especially over the past few months. And so I appreciate you kind of sharing that. Melinda, I'll be honest with you. It's been so nice having someone tell me, like, okay, use these systems, Tim, because we all know the systems that I developed are all here and they work for me and really no one else. And that's just how it is. I mean, that's just how I am wired. My desk is a mess. My everything's a mess, but I know where it all is. And I'm excited because, being a creative, and I mean, I have some administrative ability to a point, but really I'm a creative. It's nice having someone implement systems and structures, and I'm sure some people might be wondering, like, is this going to change the feel of that, like, community-centered, very personal, a little jabby at times? Is this going to change the feel of the organization with our content? What would you say to someone like that?
Well, first and foremost, the systems and the organizational aspect of it is so that you also, and everybody involved in TNE, can have boundaries in terms of workflow. Because, Tim, you will work 24/7 if nobody stops you. Let's be honest. And I mean, I'm a workaholic too. I get it. I totally get it. But I'm also able to put kind of like guardrails on other people. Like, you need to take a mental health break. We need to do this. So really, a lot of those systems are just for us to get a better workflow. We are a digital first nonprofit. That's one of the things that makes this nonprofit unique. So I don't want to say that what you created is going to change. We're just going to make it easier for us and for you. And we will be adding, again, new content. We'll be adding new faces and voices and different platforms to reach a bigger audience. But I think what you've already built isn't going to be taken away. We're just enhancing it.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think about, I mean, why don't you share for some people, maybe your background? I mean, you have such a wide resume. You've done so many things. It's really unbelievable when I hear it every time. I'm like, wow, you just have done everything. Why don't you explain some of your background, and then let's get into a little bit of just kind of some of the changes that we're evolving into, right? When we say changes, some people think, oh my God, they're losing who they were. No. This is really an evolution. We've been calling it an evolution of the organization. If at one point we were a little infant and now we were a toddler, now we're starting to walk. Now we're like 5 or 6 and we're starting to be able to walk and get our own stuff. That's kind of where we're at in the journey. So we're evolving, even though we're very much the same organization, at the heart. I'd love to hear some of your resume and then, how you think about those things going forward.
Yeah, I hope we never get to the angsty teenager. So
Same.
Okay. Oh, gosh, my background. It's funny, when we announced that I was the executive director, I text Rebecca and Tim that, like, my closest friends were like, they didn't say congrats. They were like, how do you have time to do that? They're like, what are you doing? So my background is in performing. I'm an actress and a singer. I've toured the world performing. I've done movies, Lifetime movies, theatrical movies, TV shows. Yes. I'm not going to say the title of one of the Lifetime movies I did because it's very inappropriate. It's called Less Lies and Polygamy.
Oh my goodness. Scandal. Oh my God. There's the scandal.
I was the best friend, so I didn't engage in nor less, no lies, or polygamy. But it is on Lifetime. Anyway, so funny. I was the one that was talking to the friend against it. Anyway. So actress, singer. I also have an entertainment company and a film production company called JMV Entertainment. We've done a lot of live events, corporate events, all of that. So I've had that company for 10 years. That was really what my full-time job was. I toured with a group called Unique 3 for quite some time as a solo artist. My claim to fame is I opened for O-Town. If you're a boy band person,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Wow.
I did. I opened for O-Town and did a few shows with them. am. Let's see. Writer, have a Substack. I have a children's book out. I'm a mom of 2, been married for 14 years, born and raised in Santa Barbara, live in Los Angeles, was a worship leader for 6 years.
Solidarity.
Yeah. The list goes on. So yeah, I've done quite a few things, and yes, we do love a Lifetime movie. Chandra.
Oh, someone said TNE watch party. I'm dying.
Oh my gosh, are we gonna do that TNE After Dark watch party?
What's it called? Lust, Lies, and Polygamy. Is that what it's called?
Polygamy, yes. And there's another one called the Hunt for Truth that I did with Willa Ford. If anybody remembers Willa Ford.
Yes.
The I Wanna Be Bad, that 90s star.
I'm dying.
So those are my 2 Lifetime movies that I've done.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my background. But running my company, my entertainment company, film production company, is what helped me had the skill set to lead people, to lead a bunch of people. I have 50 contractors underneath me, on-site coordinators, musicians, all of that. So being able to organize them and work with different event planners and all that. So I have that organizational structure, which is a skill that I am bringing to TNE.
Someone asked, it's a good question, how will we be keeping things organic like the pop-up lives on the TNE app? Winky face, which is a good question.
The reason I'm trying to kind of push back on that a little bit is really for Tim's well-being. It really is from a place of care, because I want Tim to have a schedule and not just kind of flying. What is the phrase? Flying by the seat of your pants? Is that the phrase? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very
been
much
the past 4 years.
And look, yeah. Yeah, and so I would like to have them scheduled only because I am thinking about him. Now we could do random fun ones, on occasion he can do that, but I'm trying to get him on a schedule for himself, for his family, for his, well-being and all of that. So that we also, because when he does go live for certain things, there are other people involved.
Yeah.
So
yes,
that's why.
True.
So
that's true.
I'm just trying to get a good schedule and structure and work ethic and all of that.
100%. And I'm here for it. It is. What's that? Yeah, no, for sure. It is a weird spot to be in, to be totally kind of on your own for the past couple of years and just kind of making things work as with duct tape and just like, you're kind of getting it out there and it's patched together, to thinking like, oh, someone else has this taken care of. Someone else is on top of this already. Someone has a plan for this. And I just have to fill out the forms, so to speak, and get this done. I will say, like, I'm looking forward to having that kind of structure while also being able to express the creative side of me and also help people out there find that better path forward, right? Like, I think that's really the heartbeat of the organization, is that, especially as we've watched what's happened in the world of politics with Christian nationalism, we're committed to dismantling Christian nationalism and helping people find a better path forward in faith, politics, and culture, right? So a lot of our content is responding to news cycles and things that are going on, but we're trying to give people, an educated approach that is focused on the Christian nationalist side of so much of what's happening in politics today, because a lot of media and a lot of people just don't have the eyes to see it, right? So that's not going to be changing. In fact, these systems and thinking and having an executive director that isn't me actually makes this better, because we can be more thoughtful in our content, right? We can be more planned out. We can think about how to kind of get ahead of things, so we're not all running around like a bunch of minions behind the scenes before we hit that live button.
Right. And I think also what is good for us is that there are a lot of people on social media that are more focused about being first than they are about like being right and intentional. And I think that that's what we're going to focus on, is just making sure we get it right and that we're intentional in the content that we're doing and how we're responding to things that are happening in the world.
100%. Rebecca, how do you kind of see because the three of us talk a lot now, which is really great. We talk almost daily about all kinds of things and just kind of building and tweaking and, thinking about the organization. How do you see like your role as the board president and the board kind of playing a part in what Melinda's talking about, what I'm talking about? How does that trio operate in a really healthy way?
Yeah, actually, just to your point of talking every day, I like legitimately miss you guys when we don't. Like, it's become such an awesome, like, just, sharing just thoughts and ideas about life in general.
Yeah.
I think about it a lot. I was thinking this morning, actually, it's a lot more about just keeping the wheels turning, right? It's making sure that the fundraising committee is meeting and that they have a plan, and that, if I didn't hear from you guys, it's like, okay, what's going on? It's just making sure that the wheels are constantly moving forward. And if there's some kind of challenge or roadblock where we need someone with a different skill set, or we need, I don't know, whatever it is, a solution, that's something I'm really good at, is problem solving. And so between the three of us, I feel like we are just kind of, we've said it, dream team. We all have these really strong skill sets. My background is in organizational leadership. And so it's really around like engaging people in the work in a way that they feel like, they already know it's important. That's why they're here. The people that are involved on our board knew this was important. Our community knows this is important work. And it's a lot about, a little bit cheerleading, to be honest. It's like kind of that rah-rah, like let's everybody, we're on the same page, getting everybody on the same page, making sure the message internally in our board, everybody knows what's going on. I really live by the mantra of don't let people worry, wait, or wonder. So it's a lot about communication and making sure that we all feel engaged and like we're part of something, not leaving people out, really making sure that we all kind of know what we want to do and we're doing it, giving people the ability to bring up an idea. Yeah. That's another thing, it's not just Melinda's ideas or Tim's ideas or Rebecca's ideas. If an idea comes in, let's talk about it. Let's see if this is something that we could really look into further. And I feel like our new board members and the board members that have remained, we talk a lot and all ideas are welcome in that space. And so it's providing room for that and, new ideas to grow and flourish. So I think for me, it's a lot about just the people in the organization itself, the employees, contractors, board, and just making sure everybody knows that they're important.
Yeah, I love that. I know a big focus for us, we've always had a community side, right, that most people don't even know about. We've had a Facebook group for a lot of years. We actually just sunsetted that group, and we have now our own actual app that people can download. It's called TNE Connect. It's a totally free app. There's no paywall anywhere in the app, but it's designed to connect people to other people who are like-minded, who are looking for connection and community. And so I know that's a really big focus for us as we kind of evolve the organization because, again, back before we got to this point, it was really just me driving a lot of these things. I just didn't have bandwidth for content, organization, and then community. But now that we have a team, we're building that. I'd love to hear from both of you how you see that app, TNE Connect, and the community side playing a bigger role in the evolution of the organization.
Well, these are sneak peek things that are coming up. So congratulations for being here on the live.
See what I did there, friends? I got the audience. I got them. I know what they're wondering about.
So, one of the pillars of our organization is educational content, right? We're trying to educate people. So within the app, we're going to be bringing back our Theology 101 course. We're going to be bringing back the book club. We're going to have probably, I think it's Conversation Circle, probably bringing it back. And there's different things. There's going to be a bunch of different things that we're going to be adding so that we feel like we're giving you something tangible to take away, to take back to your own circles and have these conversations to help you with critical thinking. That's part of our Substack as well, to be amplifying more voices. We'll be putting the Substack in the TNE Connect as well so that you know when they're posted. But I think the app has so much potential for community engagement and just resources. And so we're going to look, because I think it's kind of limitless, honestly, after meeting with Michael from Mighty, I was like, this is such a powerful tool to give the community. So we will be crowdsourcing some things also because we want to be able to give you what you are seeking in terms of education and media. But I think those are just a couple of the sneak peek things that we're going to be bringing back and doing as well.
Super exciting.
Yeah, I think too, just to kind of add on to what Melinda said, it's being able also to curate content. So if somebody is interested in a particular topic, they don't have to go back through the podcast archives, right, to try and find those things. It's being able to really intentionally kind of package some things that are in the same topic together. Yeah. Just making it easier for people to find the resources that they're looking for. And at the same time, other people who might also be interested in those same topics. So it really helps to people find others like them.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of us are looking for, right? Is that we feel so alone in this journey. We feel like we're the only ones out there thinking about these things in this way. And the app is designed to connect people to other people so they don't feel so alone, right? It's not just about on this side of the screen to an audience. It's about the audience meeting each other and saying, oh my God, like you too, I had no idea. And the app is built for that, right? Whether it's connecting you through different interests that you might put into your profile, or if you allow it to, it can actually tell you who's in your local area so you can connect with them. And again, this is a totally free app. We don't do anything behind a paywall at TNE. Everything we do as a nonprofit is totally paywall free. And I know that we have really big plans to keep evolving that app and kind of making it our home base. The other nice thing about it too is that it's away from the all-seeing eye of the Googles and the Metas and the YouTube algorithm. So the data is much more, private. It's not on Facebook. It's not on YouTube. So it's not being sold to other places. And we actually asked Mighty, which is the platform we built, we asked them about that when we built it. We said, what is your privacy, position? Because we don't want people's data being sold if they're not aware of it. And they were like, nope, that's not what this is about. So, we really got the app and we developed it purposely for the community to feel like they're actually involved in something bigger than themselves, connect with other people, and not feel alone as they navigate this faith journey, which I think is so key right now.
Yeah, it's ours. Then that's what's so special. It's ours.
I love that. It's ours. Yeah. Someone asked a great question. I love this. What's the most exciting thing about each of your roles? That's a great question, Andrew. Thank you. You want to go first, Melinda?
I'm kidding. I did. I just answered. I joked. I said I sang it though, so you didn't really hear. I said telling Tim what to do.
Oh.
That's fun. I would say the most exciting thing about the role is being able to, and I said this even in the announcement video, is just being able to help shape something that shaped me over the last few years. I think that's it's a way to kind of pay it forward, so to speak. I think being able to work the people, you guys don't understand the people that are behind TNE. Like we have Alden, we have Cassidy, the board members, like just being able to work alongside people that are awesome is really, really cool. Because a lot of people don't get to say that. I mean, my husband certainly doesn't get to say that, but I'm not going to say where he works. But a lot of people don't get to say that they get to work with really cool people on a daily basis. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about bringing just heart to TNE and my voice and my experience, and combining that with Tim's, and creating this movement to counter all of the negativity and the hate that we're coming up against. And a friend of mine said, unfortunately, hate and fear spread like wildfire, and love takes a long time. But I want our organization to be the one that shows that love can go fast. And I think that we have the ability to do that with the team that we have.
Yeah.
Love that.
I love that a lot.
So
oh
good.
My gosh. So yes, to everything that Melinda just said, I think it's really an incredible thing. I have an obsession with feats of human achievement. My husband and I discovered this over the last couple of years. So I can't even watch shows like America's Got Talent or things like that, because I just bawl the whole time. But I love working with people who are, they're talented, people who know what their skill sets are. I mean, and even in this change, it's acknowledging I'm not strong at that, but I'm really good at this. And just watching people flourish and what they're really good at. I love that. And I love being able to support that however I can. It's the right, having the right seat on the bus, right? That's what we're talking. There's a leadership concept about that. You want a person to be in their seat they should be in. That's going to really help them achieve what they are, their potential, right? And so I feel like that's where we are right now. The other part for me, just personally in my journey, Tim, you say a lot, you grew up on talk radio, and I resonate with that. That's how I grew up too. And so just seeing in my own journey that it could be different, and knowing that that's possible for other people, and knowing that we are creating something that makes that possible for other people. It sucked to grow up like that, and to be stuck in this place where it takes years to undo that. And so many people are dealing with that. And so just to be able to meet people where they are and give them the next piece and the next piece and the next piece, so they can go on that journey, even if ultimately they don't need us anymore, we're just here to be part of it. And I love that. Yeah.
Man, for me, it's hard to say my favorite thing. I mean, it really is, it's such a privilege to be able to do this work, and it's an honor to be able to do this with TNE. And, I still can't believe that this thing started in my attic. It's just wild to me to think about. But I will say that what I love most about the work It's not covering the Christian nationalism stuff. That isn't my favorite, although I feel a need to do it. I love being able to connect with people, whether it's through the DMs. I mean, in the beginning, I was answering every DM on that Instagram account because I wanted to. Like, I didn't feel a sense of obligation. I just wanted to. I love going live. I just love being connected to people, and like kind of this feeling of like we're in this together. I think that's the most exciting part. I think another part that I do enjoy is being able to meet so many amazing folks. And I will say, for the first time really ever in the organization's history, being able to say that I work with great people, but in the sense of like there's a team here, like there's a team of people that is an executive director and a board president and a full-time hire. We actually have a team for the first time that is like all in and doing this work, and it's like, wow, this feels so cool to be able to work with folks that feel so collaborative and just feel so effortless and so creative. And yeah, it's really great. So, there's definitely a lot of work ahead of us. And like any job, it has its days where you're like, this is not my favorite day ever, but the work, I just think, I don't know. I think that we are one of many organizations that are doing our best right now to fight against a torrent of dehumanization that is affecting people directly today. Obviously we're not the only org out there doing it, but frankly speaking, I think we're one of the most effective digital, like, Christian progressive orgs out there that are doing this work in this way. And I think that really means something for people, and so I just feel an immense sense of responsibility to grow this thing as ethically and transparently and in the healthiest way possible, so it's sustainable for the long term, right? Because this is going to be a long-term fight that we're in, trying to resist Christian nationalism. And I think that's what I'm thinking about, when it comes to the future of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
I see a question that asked if we're ever going to have any kind of regional in-person events. That we would love to. First, we're really trying to get our foundation stronger than it already is as a digital first nonprofit. We'll probably have a virtual type of event first before we move in person. But in person, I think, is the future down the road. But right now, because everybody's already on their phones anyway, we're trying to make the biggest impact that we can digitally. And Tim's done an incredible job doing that so far.
Yeah, we've done a few in-person events. We did one in September with when I interviewed James Tallarico. Rebecca, you were there. That was a lot of fun. And we did one a year, and I think almost, it'll be 2.5 years ago in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And again, a lot of fun. But it's a lot of work. But I do think that as we kind of get the bones of the organization stronger and get it more sustainable, I would love to meet people and not just the little thumbnails that I see in my DMs. I would love to be able to shake people's actual hand. It'd be amazing. So, that'd be great. Well, I don't know. I don't want to belabor the live too long, but is there anything else, Melinda or Rebecca, that you wanted to add to this conversation as people get to know you and kind of see behind the scenes and the future of the organization?
I just think in terms of the organization, I think people don't fully understand what we are up against on the other side. And so as much support as you can give to TNE, whether it's sharing content, whether it's being a donor, whether it's getting people involved in the app, it really makes a huge difference, and it will help us combat I'm just going to keep saying the other side. I don't want to name specifically, but the work is so important, and we need to be able to give people a better path forward, because the path right now that this country is going down is not a good one, and we want to counter that. So as much support as you are able to give TNE, we are just so grateful.
Yeah.
And I would second that. I've been around TNE for almost since the beginning. I think you only had 10,000 followers on Instagram, Tim, when I started following you. So that's quite a long time ago. And I would just say, watching everything since then, I'm just really excited about where things are headed. And I'm so glad that, everyone is sticking around to see where we go and how much more we'll be able to accomplish together.
Yeah, 100%. Someone asked, and then we can wrap it up here, tell us more about the Substack vision. Melinda, I'd love to hear from you on that.
Absolutely. So Substack really is an incredible platform, especially if you love reading, if you love writing. And so what our goal is in terms of having a TNE publication is being able to amplify other voices, other perspectives within, the umbrella of what TNE is about: politics, culture, faith, Christian nationalism. So we do have submissions open, looking for writers. We're going to try to publish 3 articles a week from different voices, so that you can be exposed to other voices. I guess there's another word to use. And it's just going to be a place for amplification and learning. And I think it's going to be something that's really beautiful, because amplifying diverse voices is what TNE is really about as well. So please subscribe 100%. To our Substack and submit if you are a writer and if you have something to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question, and we'll end it. Someone asked, Ice Espresso 4, great name, asked, what does success look like for TNE? I mean, that's a great question. We've been asking that ourselves. What do you think, Melinda?
Oh, gosh. I think you need to answer that question, founder.
I think it looks like, Marxism everywhere. And just kidding. Okay, well, I'm not a Marxist yet. Who knows? One day. No, I'm just joking around. I
want to hear from you first.
From me? Okay. I think success looks like we helped a lot of people find that better path forward in their faith that is untethered from fundamentalism that leads to what is causing so much of the damage towards our neighbors today in our culture and society, right? I mean, honestly, I think that's one of the easiest successes is that we help people churn and go the other way. And I say that partly because that's my story. That's a lot of our stories, right? I grew up in that environment. I'm not going to repeat the whole story here. I've said it many times, but part of what led me out of it was people asking questions, people holding space for me, people offering me a better path forward. And also, frankly, people ask me, is what these actions are consistent with the way of Jesus? And I got to a point where I said, no, I don't think that they are. And so I have to find something better. But I felt alone. I didn't know where to go. And if I had an organization like TNE or people who were, on a podcast like Pete Enns and Jennifer Bird and Angela Parker, these scholars who I didn't know existed till like 3 years ago, if I knew about them a long time ago, probably would have changed a lot of my perspective much sooner. So I think that's what success looks like, that we are able to really help people find that better path forward that leads to an outcome for all of our neighbors of human flourishing and dignity and connectivity, as opposed to what we see happening today. I would say that's my version of success.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I mean, I think TNE already is successful because you have accomplished that. I think it's just the scale of success that you want. If you had one person message you and say, "You changed my perspective," that's successful. But we want to change and change as many hearts as possible. It's not, minds and hearts, because we want to live in a world that is just. We want to live in a compassionate society, and that's what we're really trying to push forward. So I do think TNE already is very successful, but I just think we can make that success even greater. Fundraising goals, since we're asking about success. Sure. We do have really big goals because we have a big mission, right? So we put together recently a new package and a new pitch deck that does seek to raise $1 million in the next year that will help us with staffing, help us with new programming, with new community offerings, more educational content. So that is our big long-term goal. In the next year. It is $1 million. It's a huge goal. It's ambitious, but I do believe that we will be able to reach it because we do want to reach a lot of people and, again, change those minds and change those hearts.
100%. What I would say to people is if you want to support the work that we're doing, there's actually a link in the description where you can donate. Listen, many hands make light work. We believe in a grassroots movement. We've been doing this for 4 years now, and it is because of hundreds of donors that give $10, $20 a month, $50 a month, that we're able to do this work at the level that we're doing it. And the more people who are able to chip in and do that, it actually adds up very quickly. In fact, even if we had 1,000 people right now all donate $10 a month recurring, it would make some of our short-term goals immediately accessible to us. So the budget that we're looking for is not the budget of Turning Point USA. We're not looking for hundreds of millions, right? We're looking simply to raise overall $1 million in the next year, and that is done mostly through the grassroots effort. So if you believe in the work that we're doing, if you want to help us, dismantle Christian nationalism, help people find a better path forward in their faith, keep everything that you see here paywall free, keep the YouTube going, keep the Tim and April show going, donating is the best way to do that, and any amount helps. And I appreciate, and I know Melinda and Rebecca do too, anyone who does. It just means the world to us to keep this work going. So did I miss anything, friends? I think I got it all.
I think you did.
You did.
You did
Rebecca,
good, Tim.
you feel good?
I feel good. It feels
Sweet.
complete.
It does feel complete. Well, listen, friends, I really appreciate you personally from the bottom of my heart as the founder of this whole thing. I cannot tell you how much it means to me to have your support, and I am so excited, if you couldn't tell, for the future. It feels so good to be able to work with Rebecca and Melinda and the team behind the scenes, and we have some amazing things in store, and we're doing this together. This is, if you can't tell, it's a very organic grassroots thing that we're building, but we need to build it to make it sustainable. Yes, Melinda.
If you are not already signed up for our mailing list, it is live on our website. Please go to thenewevangelicals.com. You can sign up for our general mailing list. We do not spam you. You will get something once a month. That's all you'll get, just to let you know what is happening in TNE. So please join the mailing list, especially if you just want to know more about our organization and what we're up to.
Awesome. I want to do this full screen real quick. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, everyone, I really appreciate you being here. I know a lot of you have been here since the beginning. It means the world. I don't take that lightly. This work is the privilege of my life. So thank you for being here. It means so much. We will talk to you all soon. We will be planning ways to do this more often so you feel more in the loop with things behind the scenes. We'll get Rebecca and Melinda on the camera more often. That's all in the works. So thanks for being here, friends. Have a good one. See ya.
Bye.